where we did much bigger stunts. Phantasm, I did 2 and 3, I think. We did some really big stunts on those films. Fire guys, car crashes, you name it. Halloween, if I remember right, it was a room blowing up and things came down and little fire things came down, and didn't do anything very spectacular on that one.
I mean, with horror films, there is a little bit of back in the day, it used to be a little bit more or less of a budget, but that meant that the filmmakers can be a little bit more creative in how they shot it, how things kind of went. Tell me a little bit about that, about the kind of the aura of what the set was in terms of some of these aspiring filmmakers and some of the things that they were kind of creative about.
Well, you talking about some of the horror films?
Yeah, some of the horror films. Yeah.
Yeah, Children of Corn were outside a lot of times, and Witchboard and those movies with Linnea Quigley and stuff. We had these old houses we shot at down in LA, downtown, the seedy areas of LA, and I remember one of them I had to do a fire gig, and so the house was difficult because it was one of the old style houses, and we couldn't really burn it down, but I had to be really on fire. So we just kind of made a room within a room, put fireproof walls up there and stuff, and so it was always confining, you know what I mean? And I was set ablaze, and we did this stuff, but we couldn't burn down the house. The Phantasms we shot at real cemeteries, some of the real crypts, and that was an amazing thing because Phantasm had a big following. And I remember we were shooting in real graveyards, stuff like that, and fans would just come onto the set and would meet them. And I remember this girl, she had like, "Do you have real fangs in you?" And she had these fangs put on her teeth, molded on her teeth for real, man. So the fans took these movies really, really serious and really crazy to go that far, But when you're doing them, when you're watching them, it's scary. And it's not what you're seeing that's scaring you. It's the noise that makes you scared. You remember Carrie when the hand came out of the ground? What was scary about that? But if you watch that scene without the sound on, you go, that's not scary. But when you watch with the sound on in the theater, and they have that sound cue that comes in, and that's what scares the hell out of you. You know what I mean? So when you're doing them, they're not really scary because there's lights and crew and 70 people behind you. But I liked them because they did a lot of makeup effects, so you got to kind of play around with that stuff,
Yeah, Maddie, are you much of a horror picture fan?
I was just going to say I do not watch horror films.
You probably watch
I'm a wimp. Yeah. What did you say, Annie? Yeah, I broke out in song singing Annie the musical at rehearsal the other day. I'll stick to the tame stuff, I think.
Well, the summer will come out tomorrow. Yeah, I mean, obviously things are, we're still waiting on what's going on with COVID, and hopefully we'll get back to live performing soon. I mean, it's kind of crazy just to think that, we're so kind of in lockdown at all. Had the band had the opportunity to play up here in Vegas at all?
We haven't played anywhere.
Yeah, played anywhere yet.
We only started this thing a couple of months ago when COVID was going on. So we've been taking this time to write songs or record songs. In fact, we were just in the studio today doing 2. So we've just been recording and writing and getting ready to play and rehearsing, but we haven't played in front of anybody.
Yeah. Juliana, you mentioned about lyrics and all that as well. And tell me, do you ever have that inclination that, you may be walking down the street and have an idea about a lyric or something like that? Do you write stuff down? Do you kind of catalog some stuff just in case you kind of find something that might be fitting something that John has written?
For sure. I definitely have a pretty long list of ideas when I think of creative wordplay is sort of my jam. I really like to have that second meaning in all of the songs. So when that kind of stuff comes to me, I definitely write it down. But something I've learned about songwriting is the inspiration is one thing, but really at the end of the day, it's just putting the work in and listening to the melodies. And once you get the theme for the song, really just sitting down and and getting to it. You know, you can only rely on inspiration for so long, I think, when you really have to put the work in. And for me, a source of my inspiration is once I decide what I want the song to be about, because I'm an actress and I'm used to researching a character and getting into character, I like to do a lot of that research and look into cultural things that are interesting to me, or read about, like, because we're working in Spanish, there's so much cultural information to jump off of. So, and I'm still learning about that. And so I like to look into those cultures and take my experience of those cultures living in South Florida and then jump off from that point. So, like, we have our one song, Tu Sabor, and the hook of the song is about cortadito, which is a Cuban espresso and milk drink that I'm used to drinking in South Florida. And, you know, sometimes this day specifically, I'm just at the ventanita where you order your Cuban food, and I order the cortadito. I'm like, I love that word. And that's the start of the song, you know? So the inspiration comes from a lot of different places, but truly at the penultimate, it's really just having that initial idea and then building all of the words off of it. And it becomes more of a study than a passion. And then once you get into the melodies and stuff, that's when the passion comes in, I think.
Yeah, quite obviously. I mean, I usually ask the question about shortest time to write a song, but obviously it seems like a lot of research is done in terms of, you know, having those lyrics taken care of and making sure you say the right things. So obviously it's a lot longer process for you guys.
In a way, Spanish is my second language, so that part comes really easily. It's more like I really want to have substance to the songs. But as far as the song I was just talking about, Tu Sabor, I wrote that in 30 minutes. That's probably the shortest. Usually I'll spend 4 to 5 hours.
Yeah, John, how many instruments do you play?
Well, I started out as a kid playing drums, and I switched to guitar when I was like 10. So that's about it. I just play guitar. And a very bad keyboard, I can fake it if I have to. But I don't play a lot.
Violin.
Well, yeah, violin through the keyboards. Yeah, I just basically play guitar. And I'm not very musically inclined with other instruments. I can't play bass or, you know, some of these musicians play everything. That's not me, for sure. I just write with the guitar and I play guitar, and that's about it.
We'll be back with John and Maddie right after this.
And Maddie, what was your experience like the first time you guys hit the studio? Was this the first time you ever went into a studio to record music?
It was my first time recording, and it was really incredible. I wasn't sure how my voice was going to sound and translate in that way because I'm so used to live performance. And I think we were all kind of shocked, our engineer, John, and I, when I recorded just like a basic track for the musicians to work off of. It wasn't actually my legitimate voice track. Came in the morning and then had to come back in later and re-record, but they needed like a basic track to go off of. And I got to sing the song all the way through. That was Mi Amor Robado, our first recording. And it felt amazing. It really is almost an out-of-body experience, like being in front of the microphone and really just allowing the words and the lyrics to sort of flow through you. And it's been an incredible experience. It's my happy place for sure.
Now, John, I'm pretty sure it probably wasn't your first time in a studio recording, but tell me a little bit about that from when you first started recording inside the studio versus now. I mean, obviously, things have changed quite a bit, but tell me a little bit about your experiences in the studio.
Well, my first time was kind of funny because I was writing a song for a movie. I was going to be a title song in the movie, and I didn't have a band, and I was sitting on an Apple box on the set with my guitar playing into an old cassette recorder, you know, and I was just humming the words because I don't sing, and I was just playing, arrange it and all that. So a friend of mine came down, and she said, is that the song? And I go, yeah. She goes, well, you got a band to record it? And I went, no, I've got to figure all this out. She goes, I may have a band for you. Let me take your recording, and I'll give you a call. So she calls me about a week or two later, sends me to an address in Orange County to a studio, and I walked in, and the band was the Righteous Brothers. And I'm like, you got to be freaking kidding me, man. So that was my first. They were my first band for my first song, and went in the movie. And what happened was, before the movie even come out, I was going up to Big Bear. I don't know if you're familiar with Big Bear in California.
Yeah, familiar,
yeah. So I was going up to ski resort, and they had it blocked off because of snow and the plows were out. So everybody was sitting up there in their cars, partying, having beers, waiting for them to open the roads. And someone had the radio on, and my freaking song come on the radio. And I'm like, "Are you kidding me? That's my song." And they're like, "Yeah, shut up. Screw you, kid." You know, no one believed me, of course. But to this day, we don't even know how I got on there, because I thought maybe someone from the band and the Righteous Brothers got it to somebody to put it on. And like I said, the movie hadn't come out yet, so no one even knew the song. And but they swapped it down. They didn't have anything to do with it. So it played on one of the stations up there on the rotation for 2 years. And I was like, of course I'm calling people, "Hey, my song's on the radio." By the time we get them on the phone, the song's over, you know what I mean? It's only a 3-minute song. So that was my first experience in the studio. I had never played in a club. I had never played in a bar in front of 2 people. And then from that, one of the girls that was on American Idol heard it. And then she come out to LA, and I wrote a couple songs with her. And she was only like 21 at the time. And she goes back to Nashville and then calls me up a week later and said, "Hey, I showed your stuff to Big and Rich, who was a pretty big country band, and we're going to be open for them." And I'm like, "Really?" And remember, I haven't played in a bar ever in my life. I haven't played in front of anybody. So I'm like, "Are you kidding me? I don't even know what to do." So first show was in San Francisco. So that was my first taste at a live show with a huge audience, you know. And that was quite the experience, you know, because film, you know, working behind the camera, this is, you know, thousands of people, you know, you're feeding off. So I loved it.
Yeah, it's kind of like, you know, waiting to, when you're on set, I mean, there's no audience, so you don't get that instant gratification like you do on a stage. And I'm pretty sure Maddie has that same experience when she's doing musical theater. You can get that kind of, you know, ovation, you know, kind of feel to it. Now, hopefully, when you guys get on stage, we get that feeling again, right, Maddie?
Yes, I'm excited for that for sure. The reaction is a lot of it, right?
I hope she gets to experience that. I just remember when we got done playing, I just kept hearing the crowd screaming in my head. You know, for hours. You go back to the hotel room and it's really quiet, but you hear screaming, and it was just like, I couldn't believe it. Amazing, man.
Yeah. Let's before we go, let's talk about the movie that they made about your life, John. I mean, I noticed that it's on there. Hopefully, I know there's a couple places online people can start streaming that as well. Hopefully, we'll see that as well. But you know, what was it like? You know, being a part of a movie about yourself.
I don't know. It's I just, you know, a friend of mine's dad kept saying he knew my backstory, not just stunts, the other stuff was going on in my life. He said, "Write it," so I did. And then Jason and Power Rangers played me. And I don't know, I didn't think anybody would want to watch it because the public don't know stunt people, you know what I mean? They don't really know. They go to a movie and they see the stunts, but they don't know anything about us. So I tried to be true to it and didn't hold back and put the good stuff and the bad stuff in it. But what I liked about it is I used the real stunts that I did. We didn't recreate any of the stunts. They actually, if the lead up was cut into a fall off a building, that was really me falling off the building. What if I did it 10 years earlier in a film? But so they were able to incorporate and get the rights from all the movies I did to put in the movie, you know what I mean? Because it wasn't just one movie they used stunts from, there was a ton of them. So that was quite a challenge to get the legal rights to use all that, and they did. So I like that for sure, that they didn't hire stunt people to recreate what I did. They actually used the stunts that I did do. Like the Evel Knievel movie they did, they recreated the stunts, I think, on one of them, you know? And this one they didn't. They used the stuff that I really did. So that's what I liked about it.
Yeah, now, you know, I've had a couple films go to the Artemis Film Festival, and they are really huge on stunt people, especially the female stunt women as well. Right. You know, just tell me a little bit about working with female stunt women. We've seen quite a few, you know, start making their names for themselves nowadays. Have you worked with a lot of the female stunt women, and you know, what's it like now to be a stunt person